such an honour to be here. I only left Bali a week ago and I actually went, oh, I'm so glad to be home in Brisbane, like just get in my own routine because I was here for a pretty full-on time, and then coming back this morning, even though it was via Broome and many hours sitting in the airport, I woke up and just seeing you guys at the front this morning and sitting in here, it's like, oh, this is home. Yeah, it's addictive. So I'm just going to warn you that in 3 weeks' time when you leave, just prepare yourself. It's a little bit like flying the coop, isn't it, Terry? Yeah. So we are going to, I'm going to be sharing the next 2 days with you actually. And before I get into a little bit about me, I'll just let you straight in on what we're going to be covering. So this morning we're going to be working with the yellow level concept of mastering your market. And then I'm going to have one-on-one time with each of you this afternoon. So there is little slots up on the whiteboard that you can go and book yourself in. I'm here for 2 days, so make sure you pop in an appointment so I can spend half an hour, I think I have up there, with each person. Yep, half an hour. Oh, I'll have to change my massage time. That's okay. Half an hour with each person. We're going to deep dive into where your business is at right now. I've read through all of your work and hearing your stories this morning and the sharing from your buddy. My creator brain has already got lots of ideas to share with you. I've got lots of notes up there already. So I'm looking forward to that this afternoon. Then tomorrow we're going to come in and we're actually going to do a little bit more expansive thinking. Stretch your brains. Help you see that bigger picture, following on from the fabulous, Paul Dunn. Isn't he amazing? Does anyone want a grandfather like that? Yeah. Like I saw him speak at an event that I run with one of my business partners, and he was sick. Paul came in and he was actually sick, yet he performed with more energy than what I had over the whole 2 days. And then he recovered and backed up the next day. It was just amazing. So he always catalyzes lots of thoughts. So, I think you're on a great momentum. Let's see this afternoon what we can dig a little bit deeper on. And then tomorrow, definitely we're going to get into that expansive thinking. We may do group tomorrow afternoon, or we may do one-to-one. We'll see where you're at this afternoon. The reason I say a group is because it sometimes can be very beneficial to do it collectively, because you can learn from each other. But we'll see where the group is at, what's going to be the best for each of you. But we'll basically be doing sessions tomorrow afternoon as well. Cool. So, a little about me. That's not me. Shane knows I'm technically challenged. So, who am I? Well, I've been a business trainer for over 20 years now. I started my career in the accounting world. So I wanted to go to uni and I got in, but my folks couldn't afford to send me to Brisbane. So I actually worked at an accounting firm and studied commerce externally whilst I learnt on the job. Now, I'm a creator profile, and accountancy and me just didn't really get along that well at first. But I was at that one firm for 11 years. And why I love the work that Roger has identified is that I can just see how innately I was being pulled in that creative journey, regardless of the environment that I was in. But if I'd have known this work a little bit earlier, or maybe just more awareness, whether it was Roger's work or actually tapping into that flow, I think I would have made a few decisions differently earlier on. So basically I did tax accounting for 2 years and kept asking my boss every 3 months, can I change? Can I change? Because I can't handle the tax accounting. Anyone here an accountant? We're all like dynamo energy. And the issue was that I was good at it. Yeah, I was good at it, so it didn't make rational sense for me to go and change. Has anyone encountered that? They actually have a good skill set. So in the rational world, it makes sense that that would be what you do. Yeah. I did that for a while, and the sense of fulfillment was obviously going down. I also didn't really have role models around me that were about follow your heart, follow your dreams, follow your passions. You know, God bless my family, but they were all about life is pretty tough and get any job that you can because that's what we do. And my mum is still in the same job 40 years later, so there's commitment there. And there's loyalty, and there's actually a beautiful energy about that. But it's by no means an expansive thinking. And so I just didn't get it. I kind of thought, well, you can be an accountant or a lawyer or a dentist or a doctor or a hairdresser, and that's probably about it. Because I also grew up in a small country town. But what I found in the accounting firm was that I just couldn't turn away from wanting to do something else. So every few months, as I said, I was going, can I do management accounting, cost accounting, forensic accounting, anything other than tax accounting? And eventually the GST in Australia came in, and computerisation being introduced into small businesses came in as well. That was about maybe 97 or so, 1997. So I said to my boss, can I go and head up that, create a division? It didn't exist. Can I create a division that goes out into our small business clients and trains them on systems and processes from the accounting point of view? So he kind of did the sums, and that all added up. And so I went and did that. And within a year, we had 8 people in that division, and we weren't just doing computerised accounting training. We were doing everything from kind of HR, hiring and firing, helping the actual owners of the business, you know, through management and strategy decisions, working with the accountant on that. So I was fully in my flow because my passion is business, and my passion is also helping people to grow and develop. So being a trainer is really one of my whys, or one of my intersections. And so I absolutely loved that and did that for about 8 years. But I kind of was lacking in the emotional intelligence side of things, and my level of awareness around leadership was great. I actually excelled at all those subjects, but put it into practice, I had a bit of the black and white creator energy of just do it, and do it now, and do it fast. And if you're not doing it well enough, get someone else to do it. You know, push them harder. And if they're not doing it well enough, get them to push someone else to do it harder. And there's a few smirks. Does anyone do that as well? No? Are you sure, Griff? So, and look, it wasn't actually that I was coming from a space of being a hard taskmaster. I just didn't have the soft skills that enabled me to get the most out of people. So I went and learnt emotional intelligence. And at that stage, it was actually via kinesiology. And it was a little bit by fate, perhaps. A girlfriend said to me, go and do this course, you'll love it. And because my life at that point was, I was hugely successful in what I was doing. I was going for partnership in the firm, but I wasn't fulfilled. And my relationship, I ran away and eloped at 23. And so my relationship was suffering because of my unhappiness as well. And because I was a workaholic, and yet I wanted to fully commit to my personal life as well. And I was just stretching myself across so many areas. Anyone relate to that? Yeah. And it's okay when there's like this inspiration and this, yeah, I'm going to do this, and there's a sense of excitement that kind of gets the adrenals going, and you get this boost of energy, and then you end up burning out if you actually don't have balance and sustain it. So I went and learnt kinesiology, fell in love with it, opened my eyes up and went, oh my gosh, I did not know that you could view life in this way. It just wasn't my upbringing. Fully immersed into that company and learnt all of their programs. They poached me, and I ended up being general manager for their business to help get the work that they do out into the world. And through that space, I ended up becoming a coach and a workshop facilitator, and basically threw away the high heels and burnt the suits. and said I was never going back into that space. And so I went into the world of self-help and self-development. Is anyone in that industry here? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, I mean, the wonderful thing about this day and age is it's actually widely acceptable. When I started doing it years and years ago, people thought I was a nutcase. They're like, what are you doing, Donna? Yeah, so I actually had to change the language around it to make it more mainstream. So I went into that and I loved it. The personal fulfillment, the satisfaction, the spirituality, the sense of who I am, the whole getting to devote day in and day out to my own self-inquiry, whilst being so blessed working with other people and helping them transform and get that reflection back was kind of like magic. I thought, does it get any better than this? Until it didn't start paying the bills, because it's pretty hard to get 30 people each week at $100 a session, it was 80 at first and then $100 a session. And there was a lot of energy trying to go into actually pulling in all those clients. I did it though, but I was kind of back in the same energy of when I was just working really hard at the accounting firm. It was all this working so hard, and the very thing that got me into it in the first place started to dull, started to be a dimmer light versus the pain of how do I manage all of this? Yeah, how do I grow this when I'm also an unknown? How do I create an identity that's out there in the marketplace? Yeah, how do I establish my imprint and footprint on the world when there's all these other big players that are occupying the space? Yeah, and who am I to actually step up into that space and say, hey, I can help transform people's lives? Anyone relate to that? Yeah. And so I wouldn't say I had a midlife crisis, but I definitely hit the bottom and had to really reassess what I was doing. And, the partnership that I went into, ironically, in the world of personal development, the gentleman that I was working with probably had a little bit of ego issues to still move through. And we all do. Yeah, none of us are walking on water. But it was impacting what my future was going to look like. So I had to make a choice. So I broke away from that and became independent with it. So then it was even more so, how do I create this identity out there in the marketplace when I'm the new kid on the block? So we'll get into kind of how that happened through partnerships and strengthening identity and networking and all of that. And the wonderful thing about Roger's work is, he's really created a framework about when to focus on different things to help you get to the next level. When not to focus on things, because maybe it's 2 steps ahead and you need to do this one first. So my business, I actually wear many hats. I have Live It Up Coaching, that's my business, and that is all about mindset and personal performance. It has its origins in the kinesiology days, so the traditional Chinese medicine, the 5 elements, the Indian chakra systems, and all different concepts that are in there. And about 5 years ago, I actually created my own system that is the framework that I work in that. And that's why when I met Roger, it was like, wow, who is this guy? He's doing all these similar philosophies, but presenting the work in a totally different way. So that's one of the hats that I wear, and it's a coaching and mentoring business. And it has gone through the journeys, which is what I can share with you, some of the pitfalls and some of the wins of that. How do I get 30 clients at $100 a pop, or 20 clients at $100 a pop, to now I work with a maximum of 10 clients one-to-one, and the average on that is about $18,000 per client per year. So it's a total shift, and that shift has actually been in the last 2 years. So 2 years ago I wasn't charging $100, it was I think $200, but I was still in that hourly rate scope, and it just was a tough gig. And what I had to learn to do was package up my identity, which is what Terry said she had a great session with you guys on. Package up my identity, package up my message, and really get in tune with what are the problems that my clients are experiencing that I can help solve, and how do I solve it? Because I'd also fallen in love with my product and kind of not fallen in love with my client. And that's a little bit dangerous. And that's what we're going to focus on today. Master Your Market is actually all about that. Does anyone know someone else that is all about their product and their system? Yeah, maybe it's you, maybe it's someone else. And we get so caught in that. I still have to check in on myself at times, because I think it's wonderful, the system that I've created. But unless it's solving the client's problems, it's not going to enable you to have the massive impact on the world that you will want. And so we've got to tie those two together. So that's one of my hats. I also do group coaching. So my business may have a certain model that some of you can learn from as well. I have more time. I'm now down to a point where I'm working on Live It Up about 2 days a week. So the goal is 8 days a week maximum, because I actually have more hats that I have on as well. And the financial income each month is greater than what I was earning over a 3 and 4 month period 2 years ago. Now it still takes, I've still got to market it, yeah? And I've still got to get out there, I've still got to network and connect. But the power of also understanding the profiles is you know how to build a team. Yeah, so who else has a creator energy in here? Oh, a lot of creators. Who's star profile? 2 stars? Who haven't we got? Lord energy? You're at the top, you know, telling us what to do. No. Cool. I think I have inner Lord inside of me, Sam. So my ex-husband used to say. Yeah. So where was I going with that? So that actually working that 2 days a week enables me to then leverage and do other passions that I have as well that are still congruent with what Live It Up is all about. Has anyone here got multiple businesses going on, or multiple teams, or wants to have that? Multiple passions? Okay, that's kind of the trap, is that sometimes we try and do all of them. Yeah, and what I'd really encourage you to do over this month is get really clear on what's the one that you can focus on and get it working remarkably well, and find a way that it also opens up doors to integrate the other things. So my 2 passions are entrepreneurship and business, and personal empowerment. So when I find opportunities to do both, that's kind of like the sweet spot, yeah? And so my journey started with business and entrepreneurship, and then moved to personal development. And now the 2 are so closely integrated that for a while I wasn't sure who I was. The whole identity exercise got very confusing, because I thought I had to be one. And then I found, well, they're both my passions. How do I integrate the 2? So my business went from focusing on anyone that could benefit from mindset and emotional intelligence to business owners and entrepreneurs. Yeah, and that was the biggest shift for me, because I was in my flow of helping business owners and entrepreneurs. That's naturally who was coming to me. But, you know, outside of that, there'd be other people that would come in the bucket and I could still serve them. But when I wasn't focusing on business owners and entrepreneurs, I was kind of going, am I the relationship coach? Am I the intimacy coach? Am I the confidence coach? And I think I had a URL for every one of them as well, because I wasn't sure who to be, because I can serve many people. So instead, and again, this is what we're going to go through today, like what are the problems that your clients are having? Who is your ideal client? How can you master that market? How can you monetize it? And until you become a much bigger identity, let's actually not spread yourself too wide. Does that make sense? I resisted that for about 4 years. I went to many mentors that said that to me. I'm like, yeah, but you don't get it. You don't get it. I've got the ability to do it all. I can. And so I did. And I made money, and it was fun, and I got lots of exposure, but I by no means was elevating the level of success at the rate of what I should have. Yeah, and I kind of then hit a point of going, oh shit, I should have been further down the path than what I am now. And that's because I was multi-passionate and I wasn't actually doing any of them that well. And you know, with the introduction of the internet and marketing, if you didn't have a really strong identity, you get lost in all the noise. Yeah, it was different when I started this and there was no internet marketing. It was show up at a networking event and do word of mouth and you are the expert. So thankfully I also had a little bit of that to pull back on. But you know, in this day, there is so much noise out there that you need to be able to stand out in front of everyone. And again, Master Your Market is really about that. Because if we don't, people won't have you at the forefront of their mind when they think about their problem when they wake up at 1 a.m. in the morning or 7 a.m. in the morning or on the drive home in the afternoon. We want them to be thinking about you as the person who's going to solve their problems. Does that sound good? Cool. So that is, I'm a bit of a storyteller, as you can tell. So that's the Live It Up hat that I wear. One of the other things that I do, and this actually started with my journey here last year at one of Roger's events, Wealth Dynamics Academy. Has anyone heard of that program? We'll get onto that a little bit more as well. But I came and there was a fellow that I met. Kind of by synchronicity back in Australia. And we ended up going to a similar networking function in Brisbane, and we both independently signed up to Roger's mentoring and to the Wealth Dynamics Academy program. And we came here and we really connected. Like you guys are doing your buddies, we were each other's buddy. And we were each other's buddy for 4 days, and we really got to know a lot about what each other was doing. We had shared passions. He was a personal development trainer that became a business coach. I was a business trainer that became personal development coach. So it was kind of a really cool intersection again. To cut a long story short, we really connected, and he's a wonderful supporter profile. So he made the effort to keep that connection going. And now we actually do business together where I am writing the content and the flow of his 12-month mastermind coaching program. And so why I share that with you is one, the more you learn about the profiles, you'll find the right team. So the right kind of team for me is a supporter profile as the next one. But also the opportunities that exist in environments like this. That partnership this year has added to my revenue about $160,000. Yeah, and that's just by actually owning my identity, very clearly seeing who I want to partner with, and then making that happen. And as we go through Roger's 8 stages of an enterprise, which Terry, I don't believe we've gone through yet, have you? 8 stages of enterprise? Does anyone recall Roger touching on that? There's proven concept, brand awareness. Okay. Very brief? Okay. Terry will take you through that, or someone will take you through a little bit more. Basically, it's identifying the different development stages of your business, and it all starts with a proven concept, which is where we can have these great ideas, but we need to also get proof that it works. Anyone know some self-proclaimed experts out there? Yeah. And that's okay if they can walk the talk. Yeah, everyone has to start somewhere as well. It's, you know, how do you get testimonials and social and proof if you don't actually make a start? But it's about, you know, proving our concept first, then building brand awareness, and then getting a team together that enables us to do that well, and then being able to have a solid business that you can partner with other people. So that was kind of a really cool thing that came out of one of Roger's events. And it's another hat that I have on, and it's where I get to I project manage that. Who was I reading does project management? Is that you, Christy? Oh, is that you? Okay. So, I'm creating and mentoring in Live It Up. I'm project managing and creating in the Elite 500 program. And 2 weeks ago, or a month ago now, I just took on a third role, which is the practitioner leader for Roger, for the Wealth Dynamics and the Millionaire Master Plan. So why I share all of this with you as well is, again, it's come from having a very clear identity, knowing my market, positioning myself in that, being very clear about my passions, and scoping out the partners and the opportunities that enable me to leverage not only in my flow, but off of someone else's flow. So by working with Roger in that space, he's already got a pretty big flow, yeah? Pretty big flow. So it's actually not Live It Up, and it's not Donna. It's Entrepreneurs Institute, and it's the Wealth Dynamics Profiling, and it's the Millionaire Master Plan. That's all of the stuff that's in that practitioner community that I'm leading, but it still enables me to get in a greater flow and to learn, and the flow-on effect from that comes back to me by association. Does that make sense? Yeah. So who feels at times they've really got to battle on this all on their own? Yeah. So I would challenge you or encourage you to actually look at how can you, who else has a flow that you can get into? Even if you're building your own identity at the same time, who else is in a similar industry or a complementing industry, so you can do that. Because Live It Up for me has continued to grow, and I've continued to focus on how I leverage it and monetize it. But then I partnered with David, who's the business coach, because he has an entire database and client base full of entrepreneurs and business owners. So not only do I create his program, but I actually mentor at his programs. So I now have access to all of that community, and he connects me with all these remarkable people in his community, other mentors as well as clients. Yeah, and same thing with Roger. You see the power in doing that? Yeah. So as you go through your business plans, not only are we going to look at who's your client, but also who are your potential partners that are out there as well. Who can you collaborate with that can help you have a bigger pond to actually swim in? Does that sound cool? Because kind of doing it faster, I didn't do that. For years I went, no, I've got to do it on my own, and everyone's competition, and I can't share what's going on. And then I got to a place, obviously, of my own self-worth. It's not about competition, it's about collaboration. And it's actually about learning how we can all support each other instead of trying to take what is ours from a lack base and a lack mentality. So I pretty much spoke non-stop then. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to perhaps just express back to me, what are some challenges that you currently see? What are your biggest challenges in the space of, maybe it's the identity stuff that Terry touched on, or also about establishing a strong position from a business perspective in your marketplace? Who'd like to share? Someone, or there'll be... Yeah, what are some of the challenges that you're experiencing right now? Maybe it's around the identify your identity that Terry worked with you on, or around creating a strong position in your marketplace. I'm going to write them up.
It's mainly for me that I have so many interests and I learned so many things. And yeah, like you said, I can help so many people, and I have so many ideas how to get it into how to integrate that. And I kind of found a way now to integrate it in one thing, but I'm still in doubt if I shall focus myself more, for example, on women or on entrepreneurs, or shall I take it more broad? So yeah, it's actually also to narrow down my niche more specifically.
Yeah. And is there, just to look at, because one of the things I loved about what you're all sharing this morning is the self-inquiry journey you're going on as well. And yeah, through Live It Up, that's what I live and breathe every day. It's all about what's going on in our mind that holds us back. And it's about showing up in our businesses with both the intellect and the rational decisions, but also the passion and the heart and the soul as well. So it's about how do we integrate those. It's Lonnie, is that right? Lonnie, when you look at this and going, okay, I'm going to have to make a decision either about how I master being multi-passionate or choosing a niche, what goes on in your mind? Do you feel like you don't have the knowledge to make that? Do you feel like you're missing out if you neglect certain people, or?
Yeah, also missing out. I tend to want to help everybody, or think that the things that I know are so great that everybody should know about it, and then the world will look a lot better. And also, if I narrow it down, but that's more about the passions, that I will also neglect a part of me. But when it comes down to the people I serve, yeah, then I don't want to leave out people. If I focus on women, then I meet men who can use it just as well, and then I'm like, why can't I just serve them as well?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't believe in narrowing it down so much. I'm just like, I know that it's sad, that it's good, but maybe I don't really believe that I should do it.
Got you. Totally understand where you're at. And there also is, by choosing a niche, you also don't have to exclude everyone else that may fall into that bucket. Yeah? So even though my focus is on business owners and entrepreneurs, I still have other people by association or referral that fall into that bucket. I also get asked to speak at different events. And one of the things that I did, actually before I came over to Bali in March when I facilitated the iLAB, I spoke the very day before, I spoke to 160 women on being a powerful performing woman. And I offered them all to jump on board just a free training. And 50 of them took it up. And I was like, yay, that's really exciting, that's a great conversion rate. And then I went, oh my gosh, what am I going to give them? Because everything at the moment is focused on entrepreneurship and business owners. So it made me question, like, why was I even there serving in the first place? And then I realized that's working really well. I now have the space and the ability to put on a smaller program that can work with the executives and the employees in that space. But before, when I was trying to be everything all the time, nothing was actually getting achieved. And I remember actually having a conversation with Roger, part of the mentoring group that I do with him. I was sitting in Bali, down at Nusa Dua. Has anyone heard of Awesomeness Fest? Yeah, we were at Awesomeness Fest last year, and I was going, but Roger, like, I can be, in the space of like DeMartini and Anthony Robbins and do like personal coaching and personal transformation. But then I get all these business owners and they want me to do that as well, and I'm really good at that as well. Like, so I'm going to do both. Like, how do I have a dual identity in the business? And I'll just do a dual identity. It's easy. And then he's like, just do one. Just do one. And I was like, I don't want to do one. Because I want to do workshops here and I want to do workshops there. And it was like this brilliant blueprint of a model, but one of me. Yeah? So in true Roger form, he's like, just pick one, Donna. If you had to pick one, which one would it be? Just do that one really well. And then if, others come into that space, you put that on your 2015 or 2016 plan. It doesn't all have to be achieved in this 1 year. And I was trying to achieve it all in 1 quarter. Yeah? And so what actually happened was that none of them got to be remarkable, because there are other people out there with a single point of focus, focusing on being remarkable and offering remarkable solutions. It doesn't mean that you can't have a product that serves across niches. But sometimes it's about, if we choose to say market or niche to women, it might just be the languaging that you're using and where you're showing up in your advertising and the groups you're networking with is women. But you don't have to be the coach for women. Okay? It can just be that's where you're directing your marketing as well. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we'll look at, we'll keep looking at that this morning, and then also when we get to spend one-to-one time this afternoon. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Lonnie. Who's up next? Mark. That was compulsory volunteer, wasn't it?
What's the question?
Question is, what challenges are you experiencing at the moment in the identity and a solid position in the marketplace?
None.
None? Have you mastered your market? Awesome. What's your business?
I do. The Invisible Man. I do executive mentoring.
Yeah.
But I'm also an entrepreneur and I have a number of businesses. So the mentoring I do is, all of that comes through referral, mm-hmm. and I can't take on any more clients. Mm-hmm. And the entrepreneurial work I do is very selective, so I only take on projects that I really want to be involved with.
Great. Would you like to increase your cash flow still?
No.
No? No, you're good with that?
I'm happy with my life.
Cool. So what's your main thing you want to get out of the iLAB experience?
I'm enjoying being here. I'm enjoying the team of people that are here, and I'm loving having 30 days in Bali.
Ah, nice, nice. So is it more about kind of taking time out for you and just being in observation and reflective mode while you're here?
It's just about being of service. It doesn't matter where. When I bought this 3 years ago, it was I actually didn't know what I was buying. I was in the room with a client. The client had to leave early, so I left early, and as I left, I said to John, "I'll put me down for whatever Roger's selling today." And then I found out a few days later what it was. So
okay, cool.
That's why it's taken me 3 years to get here, because I thought, it's not probably the right program, but 30 days in Bali is nice. And then I came because Sally Ann was, she's a lifetime friend, so came to support her as well.
Great. Well, we'll see what magic you get at the end of the 30 days as well, because you showing up in somewhere like this, there can't not be a catalyst and a transformation. So that's cool. That's cool. Thanks. All right. Well, we'll move around to Griff.
This is going to be a surprise for everybody, me sharing, but I'll try my best.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yeah.
Do I need to put the timer on you? Okay.
It is.
Cool, so let's go for the quick version.
Look, for me, it's I'm in yellow. Interested in blue. Don't want to skip. I've got to go to green, but I'm interested in blue. For me, I have a successful business. I do more sustainable house than anybody in Australia. I came here with the commitment to have that run itself to an extent, with a certain amount of input from me. But since I've been here, that's still a commitment. But now I'm interested in working, like purchasing businesses, either through partnership, through taking over the whole business myself, buying it out, or by getting key people who I think are very good, putting them into a business and working with that business to turn it into a really good business, particularly in the area of sustainability. But
cool. So Griff, just on that business, which is one of your focuses,
yeah.
If we look at the personal identity of you and the mastering your market, where do you see there's room for improvement?
The trap for me is my identity is my business. You know, people go
Okay.
solar dwellings, Griff Morris, solar dwellings. So the trap, my inside of that, my identity is very large through the industry as well, and other parts of the industry. So.
So
Yeah.
that can work though, yeah, because that can be a brand.
It has worked as a brand,
Yeah.
but for me, in actual fact, I don't want that. You know, where it's like, I'd prefer to be the back seat now. I'd prefer not to be. When I give a lot of talks, you know, public talks, and I teach, sit on lots of committees for industry and some government committees. So my identity is strong throughout that. And in actual fact, I'd prefer to be behind the scenes now,
Yeah.
orchestrating. And I don't want to be. I'm good at it when I get up there, but I prefer not to be. You know.
Yeah. So when you say because this is important to get the distinction between your personal identity being attached to the business, because that can actually still be a good thing. Like you can have a personal identity attached to that business and still be behind the scenes and have other people run it, and you be off at the beach, you know, doing whatever you want to do.
At the beach, but
There's a different, or in the mountains, or wherever. But there's a difference between the identity and the fact that we have to show up every day in order to keep the business running. So
I can see in that like some people call me Mr. Sustainability, which I run away from that. So in other words, instead of being like Mr. Solar Dwellings, then Mr. Sustainability interests me in all its forms. So that's an identity that I could say, well, I could identify, and I could grow that one. That would interest me.
And that's where the whole Trimurti thing that Terry touched on, Roger was talking about, and we have the personal brand, the company brand, and the product brand. Do you remember, Roger, going through that? Up there. This is one of the key things that leveraged my business, because I had it all in the same pot. Yeah, and when it was all in the same pot, it just meant that I couldn't leverage from it as effectively. So it'd be really interesting to see how you can pull that apart so that you can still have a strong personal identity that's attached to your company brand and your product brand, but you also get to go and do the other things that you're passionate about as well, which means having systems and people and processes in place to manage these. But where your personal identity, whether it's Mr. Sustainability or whatever it may be, can still be out there and feeding into these, but also feeding into other things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because the more I think about it, the more you talk about it, it keeps on sort of morphing a little bit. So I see that I would like to have that identity also, like with a select group of people. In other words, I don't want it. I prefer the identity not to be like this big public identity.
Yes.
I'd prefer it to be because I was equating it with the public identity that I have, instead of equating it with a personal identity which I can use more like a laser than spread all over the place.
Absolutely.
Because it's pretty hard on the identity.
Yeah.
And spread all over the place.
Does this interest anyone else, this model? Griff, I'll just show you an example if that's okay.
Sure.
So when I learnt this from Roger and a year ago and I started applying it, so my personal brand is obviously the Donna Meredith brand. Company is Live It Up. And my product, so my mentoring program, is called Elevate Your Life. I have a couple of other products in there, but that's the main one. So Donna Meredith so I'm writing a book, so I will be an author at some point. I'm a mentor, I'm a speaker. I kind of attach the brand, it's the You Can brand, not to sound like the Commonwealth Bank, they stole it from me. But you know, it's, and this came about because people gave me feedback when I did customer research. You know, what do you get when we work together? They said, well, when we're finished, I feel like I can do anything, because you give, help open up that self-belief, have a clear pathway, and all of that. So I went, oh, well, that's kind of my brand. So we have events that will be running around this. That's what my book is. But this here obviously me going out and doing all these things feeds into my program, because people want to work with me, and they can do that through the Elevate Your Life program or the Ignite Your Life program that I have. They also get awareness of Live It Up. Yeah? But then over here as well, I also have Donna, who's the content creator. And that just started by me doing the business coaching content creation, and now I think, I was chatting to Terry the other night, and now I think there's like 6 people in the last month that have come to me saying, can you do that? So there's another personal identity that's starting to come forward from there. I also have the identity of, from strengthening this identity as a person that has the intersection of entrepreneurship and business and personal empowerment, means that I start getting acknowledged and recognised in different fields. So like Roger, he's like, well, he's all about personal empowerment and entrepreneurship. So where my intersection crosses, so do other people's. Yeah, and so this here though is really the thing that has me connecting with other people more so than this and this. Now it started with this. So it started with Live It Up, and then the product. And then I thought, well, hang on, no one knows who's behind that company. So as soon as I started actually elevating my brand more and separating them out, that one of the things that I do is have that company and that has this product, then who I am and the network that happens just expands. So then you could actually overlay it, and in a sense, I also have a company. I'm not the owner in it though, but I'm a part of the Elite 500 Mastermind program, which is what I'm doing this with. Actually, that sits over here, sorry, Elite 500. Again, you could go, well, I'm representing Entrepreneurs Institute, and the whole product is the Practitioner Academy. Does that make sense? So separating this out just enables you to kind of have multi-passions as well. Because I found when I was just having Live It Up and the website, what if I wanted to talk about iLAB or entrepreneurship and what Roger's doing or what other amazing people that I know are doing? It started confusing this brand, yeah, because this is about mindset and personal performance. If I wanted to talk about green smoothies, that's not something Live It Up does. Even though Live It Up focuses on, health and fitness is a part of our mindset around it, but it was just going to start confusing that brand. So then if I go, this is Donna, this is my story, just like you all went and researched on that activity with Terry, like, who are you? What do you stand for? And you start having this identity here, then it can filter down into these. Does that make sense? Griff, did you get any insight out of that?
Yeah, I did. Particularly the bit that I got out of it was that my identity, again, going back to what I said before, I can see that, and that's where I had the identity like switched around the other way, because I'm going, I don't want this public identity anymore. It's like too much hard work.
Yeah.
Where the identity, say I want to do projects other than the businesses, I also like projects that I'd like to do with people,
Yep.
and have a team of people around me that basically I can orchestrate to do it.
Yeah.
But
and that's what this here is for me. Yeah. So this company is Elite Enterprises, and the person who runs that is David Dugan. Now I am a massive driver behind it, but it's not my brand. So, but my personal identity now in the entrepreneur trainers world is lots of people now know about me because of the work that I've done with him.
What's your profile again, and which way is it swing?
Creator.
Creator, is it creator cross to mechanic or star?
I'm pretty even on all of those.
Okay.
If I tend to introvert into my cave a little bit. I'm probably more of an introvert creator. I can definitely come out on that star side, but I wouldn't say I could sustain it for a long time. Yeah, so I need to go back into my cave. Cool.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Cool. So what I hear when you're talking, Sam, is that you are getting clarity around what your personal brand is.
Yep.
And the Master Your Market is going to be really, really helpful for you because when you speak about your products, I get it, and I realise there's probably more depth behind it that we can have a conversation about. But it's about being able to very clearly articulate what problems do your clients have and how are you solving it?
Yep.
What's the remarkable solution that you're going to offer to them? And that is what becomes your product. So when you know what problems your clients have and how you're going to solve it, then you can elevate your product brand.
Yep.
Yeah, and so even your book, like your book is, it may be helping solve some of this, but a book is definitely attached to a personal brand as well, which can leverage you and into that strong, you know, personal identity. So when you go out and you connect and you network and all of that, you know, you're the author of XYZ. But the power of the triangle is that you can't have one thing happening that doesn't influence the other two. Yeah. So I think this actually today is going to be really that puts some of the jigsaw puzzles together for you. Because you're getting strong on your personal identity. Now we've just got to get you strong in the product, and then you can go out and market that. And as we go through the Master Your Market, even though you don't yet have a business, you can still apply that in terms of what do I talk about? Like when I'm connecting with people, what are the things that I'm talking about? What are the problems that I'm solving for them? Because the answers are right in front of you. Yeah, and at least the answer to take that next step is right in front of you. And I think the connection that you actually have, even though you express that you felt separate, when you talk about those things, it feels like you're actually quite connected with them. And if you actually start tuning into that and going, you know, if this is what you're passionate about and the things that you talk about all the time, how do you then bring the rational intellectual side and create a remarkable business model around it so that you get to do what you love and make shitloads of money? Yeah? Perfect. Because as you were talking, Sandras, what I heard was a little bit what I experienced for a while. You're good at education. You're good at it. And so I was good at accounting. Yeah, I was even good at training, but it wasn't what made my heart sing. And you know what's important is that you connect with the people and the message that makes your heart sing, because we get you're a good educator. Yeah, when you make that real solid connection with that, then that all the skills as the educator actually becomes the secondary thing, and it's about you shouting from the building tops what your message is about. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Cool. And who here is really loves marketing? One person? This is interesting. 2 people? Yeah. 3? Yeah. Look, I love it. Is it my natural flow? It's not so much. And I say that because we've got a room full of kind of creators. Yeah. And creators can be good at marketing, but it's definitely a blaze energy. So all of us, whether you're a lord, whether you're creator energy, you need to get your inner blaze mojo going to get that marketing side happening until you can build a team that can do that for you. Yeah? And as you're going from, you know, yellow to green, and, you know, Griff, you were communicating about that too. You want to be at blue. We kind of got to do the steps as well. And it is about letting go of the things that got us to yellow and had us being very special, and a lot of freedom that comes with being in yellow as well. You can kind of choose when you show up and when you don't. Then when you start going to green and you have a team, you've got all these meetings and everything that happen. So even though I don't own 3 businesses, I own 1 business, but I have I have a considerable profit share and consulting fee that comes from 2 others. That has put me at operating at like a green level with the various teams that I have to manage. Because in the Elite 500, I'm actually managing the team underneath it to bring that whole project to speed. And so I was working with Roger and going, yeah, you know, I'm mastering yellow and I'm doing promotions and this and that. And then it was, oh shit, now I need to show up for all these meetings at like 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. on every day. And I would be like, oh, I'll work Saturday if I want to take Monday off and do all of this. And part of it too was showing up at that next level so that you can step away from what you're doing and allow other people to take the reins and to take that space. Remember, the personal identity is who you are and what you stand for. Yeah, and then it sounds like what you're working with Roger on is you're taking a part of that, might not be all of it, but a part of it, and you're creating a product out of it, and that's what you're going to get out there into the marketplace. So one of the key things to remember in that space is that this our identity can sometimes feel challenged, and we can feel like we're rattled when we aren't truly owning that I am all of this, but I'm choosing to show up in a certain piece of it in the marketplace. I see this time and time again with my clients, is that unless they're doing everything that represents them, they feel like their identity is still at a crisis. I used to do that too. I'm like, yeah, but I'm deep and I'm soulful and I'm this, and if I'm just focusing on this over here, I'm not being all of me. But it's actually going, be all of me and own that, and then be a smart business owner and choose to focus on one area and one product and one marketplace, knowing that there's still more of you. Yeah, there's so much more to all of us. But do that and do it really well, and then bring in another part. Does that make sense? Can you see where in your languaging where I actually think you probably are quite strong in your identity, but unless you're out there showing all of you to the world, you're thinking you're not quite there. Would that be right?
Yeah, it feels like it's only part of me.
And it is only part of you. And it's because it's one chunk that's going to get you really successful and monetizing your knowledge and your wisdom and your experience and making a massive difference to the world, so that then you can bring more of it in and make an even bigger impact. But when you try and do it all, it's going to dilute it, and you're going to feel like you're stuck in foundation again, and you're going to question your identity when your identity is actually kind of pretty good. Yeah?
Yeah, no, I really got that before when you were speaking. So it's hitting home.
Yeah. And I totally get it. And I'm like the little tantrum thrower, not anymore, but I used to be. I'm like, yeah, but I'm more than that. But I'm more than that. And then I even remember those conversations with Roger like 12 or 18 months ago, and he's like, yeah, I know. But it's just focus on that first thing, which doesn't mean it's small. It's whatever level you're at to get it rolling. The first thing might be a big thing. Yeah. So for me, a year ago, I was my highest priced if I took money, my highest priced mentoring program, my lowest priced mentoring program now is almost double that. Yeah, and it's because I got clear on my identity, on the problems that I'm solving, and the ways that I can leverage all the wisdom and the knowledge that I have for people, how I can add value without it being purely dependent on me. That now, like when I've transitioned into that and really succeeded at doing that, I'm now, say, working with Roger, and we're looking at, well, how do we create a multi-million-dollar part of his business through the practitioner community. Now, conceptually, I got all of that a year ago, but for me to create my business plus that a year ago, I actually wouldn't have been able to do any of them well. So even now that I'm taking on that new role, I'm still kind of pedaling fast at times, going, holy smokes, I've got to put that in place in order to do that and do that. But it's not out of fear or out of a lack of identity, because Live It Up's ticking away very well and is only going to get better. So then I can go and focus on, hey, now I can talk to you about let's grow a multi-million-dollar division over in here. But I knew a year ago that that's what I wanted to do. You know, what I love about Roger's spectrum levels and the ladder that he puts in place is that even if we've been at that level, it is go back and let's do yellow really well and transition up to green. What I'm referring to in the green and yellow side is that if we're floating around in our business in yellow, your mindset might be in between the two. because you have awareness of what it's like to run it at that next level. So it's about coming back and going, let's get you there as quick as possible by not only the personal being that we need to show up as at Yellow, which is that whole working on yourself, getting that identity strong, getting that out there into the marketplace, having what you're doing be very well leveraged and remunerated. And then you'll find that transition up to the next level will be probably smoother and easier for you. I think the only distinction, just before I move on, is that when we are at Yellow level, our business is still so dependent on us. So our ability to move away and focus on other things, whether it's social causes or personal things, and that there's generally at Yellow, our business requires so much of us still. And going that next level is about being able to have other people that can show up and take care of things if we wish to, or maybe it's, you're creating wealth out of other things like property and stuff that doesn't need people to show up as much. It's not as time dependent. But we'll drill down a bit more into that when we do one-to-one as well. Okay. So when you're in Star Profile, it's about shining the light, like we often like the limelight. Stars can also shine the light on other people. Who knows a famous star that shines the light on other people?
Oprah.
Oprah, exactly. This lady here, or who I just flicked up before, Yvette, just her story, actually she applied for a PA position with me 12 months ago. And because she liked the message that I was about, and I said, hey, I need help on someone who can help me get the word out there. I need someone on that more Blaze side while I keep creating and mentoring. So she applied, then her life kind of changed events, and she ended up going, no, she wants to step up into her own space. She now runs a company called Earth Events, and she brings other fabulous speakers onto her stage. She creates a stage and a platform for them. So in that, and there are people like Jessica Ainscough. Has anyone heard of Jess Ainscough, the wellness warrior? She's big in Australia. She's a cancer survivor and so forth. But it's all about personal transformation and health and so forth. I don't know what obviously she's now supporting these guys with their paleo tour. It's a way of eating and lifestyle there. But what she's done is created a platform to bring these people together, and as such, her profile gets lifted as well. So when you're in infrared or in red, one of the key things is you should be finding who else is in flow that you can tap into. Yeah, because if you tap into someone else's flow, you're going to very quickly get out of infrared, and at the same time you can still be building yours. Or it can be go back and work in events, as you said, but at the same time, rather than even having to take that jump into you being on the platform, are there others that you can collaborate with and bring onto your platform, and therefore the whole costs and everything to get it going. And what you'll learn through iLAB in the promotions is that you do a promotion before you actually go and spend too much money. Yeah? So has anyone made the mistake of like getting all the ducks lined up perfectly and then doing a promotion only for it not to go as successful as they wanted? Yeah, this is where Roger is brilliant at it. And when you have John and Siraj and different people coming in, and the support that Terry will continuously give you, it's about how do we do smart promotions where and we'll touch on this tomorrow as well, where you're setting up your promotion and you know that you're going to make money from it before you have to spend too much money. Yeah? Is that helpful? Cool. Awesome. So I feel like we've kind of done a coaching and mentoring session right in that. Let's jump into your folders. Okay, we good to do some self-assessment? Feels like we're really getting into the education stuff here, yeah? Like educating and who am I, and how do I show up? So if you can go to the Master Your Market activity, it will be after the Identify Your Identity one that Terry did. So we can see here, like a lot of people, this is why these subjects are perfect for you right now, getting really clear on your identity. And then let's start looking at what problems are you solving for your clients so that you can go out there and create a truly remarkable solution. Because if we, our product that has our remarkable solution, remember if we're falling in love with our client versus falling in love with our product, then you're going to come up with a solution that people are going to want to buy, a product that people are going to want to buy. When we get into this activity later on, you'll actually see that Roger works with what he calls economy class, business class, and first class. Yeah, so it's looking at having 3 different levels of clients, 3 different levels of products. So I have economy class, and that's $300 a month for a group mentoring program. Business class is $1,500 a month for a group mentoring program with a little bit of one-to-one in there and some retreats as well. I then have first class, which is $2,500 a month, and it has one-to-one customized. It has all of the things below it, plus it has another full immersion retreat that's attached to it as well. So I have some people that come in and go straight to first class, because first class people tend to know they want first class. Yeah? Anyone flown first class on a plane? Nice. Business class? Yeah. And economy class, do you want to fly business class one day? I tell you, I did last night. I was in economy going, oh man, thank goodness I'm business on the way back. Sometimes people will come in on that economy class and that's all they actually want. And that's okay because we have a product that can help them there. Others might go, do you know what, I actually really want business class or first class, but I'm not quite sure that I trust you yet. I'm not quite sure that you can solve my problems. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to commit to that. So they come in at economy class and then they might upgrade. Yeah, and then they might continue to upgrade. I have one above it, which is kind of bespoke, which is only 2 clients a year that I actually take on, where we customize the way that I work for them. I'm actually even challenging myself about whether I want to do the bespoke ones because they actually do take up a lot of time. So I've got to look at the reward on that. It sounds great. We have a bespoke one that's earning a lot more money, but can I actually have more people in economy class that I can leverage my time with and still make a massive impact on? So when we go through this exercise, we're going to be looking at not only you creating some products in those potentially 3 tiers, but also who are the clients that sit within each of them. Because you don't want to try and pitch a first class product to someone who is in economy class. Yeah? It's going to be a disconnect. And they want different things. So for me, when I fly economy, which is most of the time, I'm like, I just want to get from A to B efficiently, cost effectively, and that's it. But there are times when I specifically choose business class. So the last 2 months I've had 8 or 10 flights backwards and forwards from Australia to Bali, and some of them have been like 30-hour turnarounds to present and show up at events here, and then go to the Gold Coast and present and do a half-day mentoring, guest mentoring on someone else's program, and fly back. That I've gone, I want business class because I want to be able to sleep, I want to be able to be rested, so that I can hit the ground running. And so there's times when I choose that. So there's times that I want those companies to provide me with a product that's going to serve what I want at that level. Does that make sense? Yeah. And what you start doing, and we'll look at this again after one-to-ones and tomorrow, is then we want you to start setting targets about, well, how many economy class products do I want to sell each year? How many business class do I want to sell? And how many first class do I want to sell? Now, for me, it was all about business class. And now I'm actually have decreased the numbers on business class and increased the numbers on economy class. And I actually have more time and I have more cash. And I get to work with the people that I want. So, let's go into self-assessing. Does that all make sense, what we're talking about? Yeah? The cool thing that happens as well is you clearly identify what your core products are. Just one more thing, I get distracted. We're going to look at the different types of products for your promotions as well, where you might have some free products, which is what Roger actually calls are just marketing tools. You might have some prelude products. Some people might call them low cost. They're your small chunks that people will buy in, where they're starting to come into your funnel. And then you've got your core product. And this is where you've got it in like economy, business and first class, or you might call it bronze, silver and gold. And then we've got other products which kind of flow on, or people are already in your community and they're just wanting to buy. So some people will come straight in here and buy these products. Other people want to be taken through a journey. Yeah, but at each step of these, the activity that we're about to do and you're going to keep working on today is still making sure that every single thing that we offer solves our client's problem. So let's start with question number 1. You're going to assess this on your own and then you compare up later and actually do some work on it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, or 0 to 10 actually, 0 is not at all, 10 is it is out of this world, you have mastered it. First question is, I've identified my market size, and the need they have that I can fulfill. So this is a little bit objective, it's self-assessment. Yeah, you need to be able to answer this. If you don't yet have a business, think about what you talk about to the people that you're passionate. You know, what's the passions you talk to them about? Okay, so if everyone can score there. So you know who your market is, you know how big the market is, roughly, and you know the need that they have that you can solve, that you can fulfill. Just remember with these questions, I'm sure Terry said the same, that this is not about success or failure. Yeah, I actually really like it when I score low on these because it shows I've got room for improvement. I do this activity about every 3 months, and because the growth happens, so sometimes I'm quite high on it, and then other times, particularly if I'm shifting into a new market or I'm resetting the goals for my business, I might actually score a bit lower. All right, everyone got a score there? Cool. Number 2, I know my 2 biggest competitors, the solutions they deliver, the prices they charge, and how they have become successful. That's a pretty big question. But who are your 2 biggest competitors? What is it that they offer their clients? What are their prices? And how they've become successful. We have worksheets behind all of this that you're going to go and do the work on, but this is just self-assessing. Again, if we don't know this, we often just make stuff up in our own head, which of course as creators is always right. Number 3, I have a clear and unique customer promise, and I have a clear message, mission and story that brings to life my customer promise. Does anyone want to have a go at what is a customer promise? Like, what are the components of a customer promise? Or why we should have one? I'm going to show you here. This is one that we had to write in Wealth Dynamics Masters. It's a bit long-winded. But this was the customer promise that my first draft customer promise. And it's that when we serve our customers, their needs become our missions. Yeah, so their needs, and this is using Roger's language, which you'll probably see throughout. People who aren't living their natural genius and life is out of balance and they're not getting financial success they want, we're here to guide them. So that's my promise to my customers. Through intelligence, passion and soul, we help them to love the life they live and live the life they love. We do this through personality assessments and blah, blah, blah. So it's really promising that's in bold and that their needs are our missions. Now, that is quite a long-winded one. To succinct it down into 2 sentences will be, what I'll go back and do. But it's really, what are you promising to your customers that if they come and work with you, you are not going to let them down on. You're going to deliver. Does that make sense about customer promises? And it's also about being clear on who your customer is. Now that's, so for me, for example, in Live It Up, my customers are the business owners and the entrepreneurs. When I look at the Entrepreneurs Institute Academy, so my role there as practitioner leader is working with other people who want to be coaches and consultants, yeah? But those coaches and consultants will work with the end user. So my true customer is actually the end user. Yeah, it's not the coach and the consultant. Because I still, through the coaches and consultants, serve the end customer. Yeah, very, very clear distinction to get if you actually are like a B2B as well. If you're business to business, you still want to focus on the end, who is the consumer at the end of it. Okay, so number 4 is I have 3 distinct market segments. So this is the economy, business and first class, yeah? So I have 3 distinct market segments and customer avatars for each one. So has anyone not done a customer avatar exercise before? Griff, you haven't? And okay, Sandy hasn't? Okay, cool. So we are going to be doing that today. So that's cool. It's basically where you start embodying your customer or your client. So that, again, we're not thinking what we think their problems are, but we're actually fully embodying them. And we're looking at what's going on for them. What are they wanting? What do they want help with? What are their problems? What keeps them awake at night? So if you haven't got 3 clearly defined market segments and the customer avatars that go with each one, I think you were touching on you've got about 3, Sanders, yeah? Not clear? Okay, cool. So just mark it wherever you're at there. If you have 1, I want you to really focus on here. We're asking you about 3, so you would mark it down lower. Number 5, I have unique products that provide better solutions than my competitors to my customers in each market segment. Yeah, so unique products that provide better solutions, because we want to be remarkable, yeah? And when you do some competitor research, you can see what they're doing well and then get creative about what makes you different. How can you add even more value? These are tough questions, yeah? All right, number 6. I have market prices that have been effectively tailored for my market. How do you know if your prices have been effectively tailored? How do we know? People show up, people are buying it, yep. Okay, cool. People are actually buying your stuff, yes. People are handing over the credit card or the money is landing in your bank account. That's how you know that they're effectively tailored. Yeah. That's why it's really good to do your promotions first, because you know if you've got it right. Yeah, and you can tailor the prices to see. You can look at if your value matches or not. Yeah.
In addition to that, I think also you should be able to make money off it, because they could be buying, but it's wrongly priced. You are just burning money.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So there needs to be profit, there needs to be leverage, and there needs to be the value that's in there as well. And you know, when that looks like Roger's writing, the what, who, when, and how with the arrow, you know, and he's talking about the leverage and the value that's in there. The simplest answer to that is, how do you know? You've got to test and measure. Yeah, so you want to look at when you go further down the path, and John's coming back in to spend more time with you on this as well, you need to test and measure your conversions. So if you have a lot of leads, but your conversion rate is very small, maybe your price is wrong, maybe your value is wrong, there's many variables in that, but we need to test and measure. Absolutely, that's what Sandras is saying, and because that has a perception in the marketplace too, doesn't it? Yeah. Interesting for me, when I doubled my price, and I heard all the business mentors say, double your price, lose your clients, it's okay. I'm like, not when you're in red. That's like scary as all heck. And so I kind of warmed up to it, and then when I did it, this was probably about 4 years ago now, I went, okay, that actually worked. But I had to also be working on identity and market positioning as well. Otherwise, I'm just doubling my prices to the existing market pool. Yeah, and they're like, well, that's not what we want to buy. So I had to be showing up in the right market pool in order to have those new prices. So number 7, I have a way to protect my products so as I grow, customers will continue to return to me and my business will grow. Shane, can you grab my power, please? So this is about people coming back, yeah? Which is where we get over here, where you have a product ecosystem. Yeah, so what's an ecosystem? Does anyone know what an ecosystem is? Griff?
A self-supporting structure with all the components support each other.
Cool, so he said a self-supporting structure where...
A self-supporting structure where all the components actually support each other to an overall outcome, so it's sustainable.
Perfect, yeah. Any other takers on an ecosystem? That's right. So when we look at your business model, okay, this is what I really want to spend time with you on the next 2 days, is that your business model needs to have an ecosystem around it that's going to feed into your core product. And this way people can keep coming back. Look at what Roger has. You know, he's got iLAB, he's got mentoring, he's got, he has a Crystal Circle Quest, he has Fast Forward Your Business, he's got Wealth Dynamics Profiling, we've got Academy, there's many, many products in his suite, and they're not just all random. Yeah, they actually do take people on a journey. And people might start at different places on that journey, but can go out and find, as in Roger's new language, the mission that is next for you. So, okay, number 8, I have routes to reach my customers and for them to reach me, to ensure that when they're ready to buy, they choose to buy from me. So you have routes to reach your customers. So you have network channels, you have marketing channels, you have distribution channels. So just like we've got that triad, you also can have, you know, you've got your distribution channel, you've got your brand, and you've got your product. So you actually, the more you get clear on what your products are, these ones up here, you can they're the ones that you will tend to go and partner with. So say a business coach. So my buddy who's a business coach has said, Donna, I want all my clients to experience mindset and personal transformation so they become better entrepreneurs and better operators. So I don't take my core product, which is my higher end mentoring program, and partner with him on that. I take a lower end product that I can partner with so that then people can come into mine. So what that's doing there is creating, that's one route that people can reach me, is through the partnership with him. Another might be an online test. It might be other marketing channels, online marketing channels, your CRM, your existing promotion strategies to your current database. It's making sure that you have routes for them and that if they want to buy, they can buy. So that if someone wants to work with you, Sandy, can they just go, I'm straight away, I'm there? Or is it a process that's difficult for them to even get to you? And often when we have zero online presence, it's tougher to get to us. Yeah. I don't actually have a strong online presence, but that's developing. So I understand that it's not always easy for people to get to me. Yeah, definitely word of mouth referrals are high, and when they get me, they convert very high. But it's hard for people to necessarily know how to work with me immediately. Yeah, so I'm a bit low on that one. Number 9, I have mechanisms in place that encourage and reward customers and partners to refer me, spreading ongoing word of mouth. What could some of those things be? What could be mechanisms that we have that will encourage and reward? Affiliate programs, yeah. Definitely. Anything else? Freebies? Add-ons, absolutely. Yeah. B1G1, how good was that? I have a crush on Paul. It was good. Just the giving that he has makes such an impact in the world, yeah. So you absolutely encourage and reward customers, affiliate programs, partner programs, special offers, VIP discounts, value adding with other people. Perhaps it's also providing a platform for them. So you might invite people on where you are leveraging them. Last question, I have a hot list of my top 20 customers and partners. So customers and partners are different things, yeah? Customers are the end user that you're serving, and partners are those that you're going to leverage with, yeah, and create more value together to serve your customers. So have a hot list of your top 20, and you have personal connection and know their greatest needs and dreams. The power in this one is huge. One of my stories, Roger just posted it in Sandy, if you're in Crystal Circle Facebook group, you probably saw it this morning. I got nominated for the Telstra Business Women's Award, and that's cool. It's the second time I've been nominated, but this time I actually listened to it because the person who nominated me, I guessed who it was Emma Isaacs, who's the CEO of Business Chicks. And she runs one of the biggest networking, 30,000 members she has in Australia. And I went, ooh, okay. Now, why I'm sharing that is that 18 months ago, she was on my hot list. I didn't know her, I had zero connection with her, and I knew that what she was about, what her message and her cause and her why was so aligned to mine that I want to get to know this woman. So I showed up at her networking events. I brought 10 and 20 other people with me to those networking events, and I just started that connection. And now we kind of chit-chat on email and catch up when we're in the same city, and that relationship has been built over time. But it came because I strategically wrote down who are the key people, not only customers, but partners and other influencers in the marketplace. Now, I actually haven't done anything with that relationship yet. I'm still just building that relationship. Yeah, and now Emma's coming to me and saying, oh, tell me more about your Bali retreat that I saw you post up, Donna. Like, I want to know more about it so I can tell people about it. That's been a year in the making. Yeah, there's other partnerships that happen much quicker. But there's power in that, yeah? Has anyone done something like this and had great success? You know, actually gone, this is who I want to connect with. Ask you in a year? Well, last year I had Emma on it, I had Roger on it, I had David on it, and I've got those 3. There's a few more I haven't fully evolved to that level. All right, so we've all answered our questions. Now I want you to add them up. Get a score out of 100. Can I just have a shout out from a few people? What's the number one thing that you want to go back and look at that would make a big difference? There might be 10 for you, but let's pick one. Yes. Number one. And what's... Look, they are sequential, and I love your Lord energy in that. Yeah, a creator will just go, oh, which one talks to me the most? But if number one resonates with you? No, it's just that I've got such a low score to start somewhere, so I'll start. Cool, what's number one?
I haven't identified my market. I need to identify my market size, and the need they have that I can fulfill.
Beautiful. Otherwise, we don't know where we're casting the net out into. Yeah, awesome. Okay, who else? Sandus.
For me, it's number 4 mainly, and then 3. Those will make a big difference in my business life.
Ah, yes. Hugely powerful because you can deliver the right value and leverage from that as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, who else? Sandy.
Number 2 for me, I haven't really looked at my competitors' prices, and what I do sort of know vaguely, but I need to look at that further.
Hugely important because you've got to remember, we know why you're good, but to people that don't know you yet and they have you there and this person, prices is one of the determining factors, and depending on what your product is may be the biggest determining factor as well. So you definitely need to know where you're positioned with your competitors so that even if you've got an on-par pricing, does that mean that you need to articulate your point of difference and go through the whole social proof and authority and credibility and those sorts of things to stand apart? Because people will look at 2 things and go, okay, well, they kind of look the same, then that one seems more cost effective. Not always. I tend to go the other way, but I tend to go, oh, well, this one must have something more in it. Cool. Who else? Griff.
I've got lots of room for improvement. Mine's sort of dichotomy in that I've got about 90-95% strike rate. People see me, they become a client pretty much. And about 98% retention and very high rate of referrals. But I have none of this in place. In other words, it's all based on sort of me, that personality.
That's right.
So which is the interesting thing, because I can go, but I can't, because in other words, if I stepped out of it, I don't think that'd be as strong. So.
Well, then we need to look at the mechanisms that go in place
right.
to do that.
So that's the area for me. But I mean, I look and I can go through all different parts of it, but that's the overall take home for me, is that it needs to be structured in a way that's not based on me.
Absolutely, and challenge also your mindset that thinks it has to be us, because that's what gets us to that really strong yellow level, but it's what keeps us there. I was sharing with you briefly this morning, one of my biggest clients is actually a building company, and Karen, Peter is the builder, Karen is the marketing person and salesperson. For a long time it was just this dynamic duo team, and she was making sales like crazy. And then she's now got 4 children. So she's had to bring other people on to do it, and she's very wonderfully trained them on how to be themselves, but how to sell on the Sterling Homes brand. And so now we're actually building their sales team, where it's not massive, there's still only 3 key salespeople, but sometimes Shawnee, who's one of the salespeople, actually does better than Karen. And then we niche Karen into the type of client that she will work with, so that she can go off and be doing their other ventures and creating more babies that she seems to do. So there's definitely, this is part of the mental challenge, is that we go, right, so how do I put those mechanisms in place? Cool. Anyone else? So, Terry, have you got the time there for me? 11:45. Awesome. So, have you found this session helpful? Good. Now, homework for you is to go through the worksheets at the back of that. Okay? Now, you can definitely go through all of it. It actually probably take you, I don't know, maybe an hour, maybe less. Depends how much research you've done on your marketplace, and if you are an existing business or a new business. If you're a new business, it might take you 2 hours or 3 hours. Or if you're a person that likes to be contemplative, you know, these exercises for me often take 3 hours anyway, because it opens up lots of different thoughts. What I would suggest is that you at least look at your low scores and go to those questions first. Yeah? If you've got lots of low scores, just pick. Just get in tune with it and have a read over all of them. What I would love for when you come and meet me this afternoon, so I've got 3 names up there, so I'd suggest pop your name in on that board before we go to lunch, and I will do those sessions in the wood ballet, but come in the context of the personal identity and this stuff. So do spend, if you can, over lunch, just half an hour looking at your top 1 or 2 questions, and we'll talk about what your current business model looks like and what currently exists in this, so that we can help expand that even further tomorrow.